All right, let's talk cameras. The world has been waiting for the brand new Sony Alpha for a number of months now, and this sort of noise of what was promised to be released by Sony was getting louder and louder. They have finally done it. It's all announced. It's released. It's here. We can look at it in more depth. And we can also talk with Sean Ellwood from Sony about this brand new Sony Alpha A7S III. Welcome to the show, Sean. Thanks for your time today.
Great, thanks for having me on.
Look, you are obviously internal at Sony. You've been able to watch this arrival with a lot of interest. Um, this line of cameras, the Alpha series from Sony, it has been the go-to for mirrorless for at least 10 years now. What is it that you're doing better than everyone else top line with your mirrorless range?
I think probably top line, this thing that we do really well is we focus on delivering cameras that really excel for specific end use cases. Of course, we have some great general purpose cameras, but then we have cameras like the R Mark IV, which are amazing for high end stills and getting stacks of resolution. And with the S Mark III, we've really delivered a tool that is going to be, we think, state of the art for filmmakers for the coming number of years.
The interesting thing is that for so long, mirrorless was what you got when you didn't want to get the step up to DSLR. But when we look at what you've done with this latest range, I'm not sure there's anything that you're actually missing out on. What is it that you're doing differently today that you haven't done so far? What's the new thing that people are going to get?
So on the A7S Mark III, I think the really big thing that we've brought is just complete flexibility in terms of your video formats. The A7S Mark II, which was the predecessor, already had great low light and had a sensor that could deliver awesome video quality. But for some people, there was a frustration around really extracting the maximum quality out of that camera. With the S Mark III, now we have 10-bit, we have 422, we have high data rate codecs, and all that stuff just means that you can really get quality video into your editing suite and out to your client screen that maybe wouldn't have been possible with the previous camera.
Is this a camera that is for a broad audience? I mean, are you really pitching this at that sort of cinematographer that's earning their income from this space?
Yeah, I think there's always going to be an overlap there. The days where you could make a really clear, bright line between professional and a high-end amateur product are long gone. But we would say principally this is a professional camera. It's designed to satisfy the needs of people who are working professionally. And so, of course, there'll be enthusiasts and advanced amateurs who will pick it up, but the audience that we aim to please is professionals.
In that, pushing the limits of the product as far as it can go, sometimes manufacturers go beyond what you would perceive those limits to be. One outcome of that is overheating of the camera, for example, if you're pushing to too high a resolution. For the operator, when you're operating within the allowable limit and it overheats like that, it's obviously a frustration. For Sony, it appears that you've sort of dialed back a couple of areas of output, but to maintain that consistency of performance, how important is that?
Well, for us, it's critical. We spend a lot of time taking feedback from the people who use our existing cameras. Obviously, A7S Mark II and Mark I have been workhorses for a long time, and we've had a lot of time to hear from the people who use them. And heat was just such a strong point of frustration. It's something that's not predictable, and ultimately, if you're trying to work professionally, predictability is critical. You need to
Mm.
understand exactly what your tools are going to let you do. If you've got talent on set and you're paying for people to be there, you can't just tell them, well, take a I don't know, a 5 minute breather, a 10-minute breather. I don't know when this thing will be ready again. That's not acceptable.
Mm.
So uh, when we're trying to create a tool for pros, it has to behave predictably. And ultimately, that was why we chose to focus on reliability.
You talk about the product being made for cinematographers, but there is that overlap. At what point of understanding of cinematography and filming are you going to get the Alpha 7S Mark III, for example? I mean, because obviously for some people, they are going to want a product they can pick up and start filming with now. They're happy to make the investment, but they want to grow into it. Tell us about who your user is, more specifically, if they're not earning their income from this space.
Yeah, so for enthusiasts, I think people who really enjoy and appreciate flexibility in their footage, what the A7S Mark III is going to give you for video is a lot like moving into shooting RAW for stills. You get a lot more ability to push your footage around in post, and you also get those faster frame rates at really high quality, which is going to let you then play with time compression, expansion, all that sort of stuff, which is a great effect to add in. Um, Ultimately, you're not going to enjoy that benefit until you get quite into editing and pushing away from just using what comes out of camera the way it comes out of camera. But yeah, like you say, if you are looking to move into video, and of course, video is getting bigger and bigger every day, then an A7S Mark III will give you an amount of space to grow that you wouldn't find on any other camera in this sort of segment.
You've got 7S and 7R. Just for people watching, what is the difference between the 7S and the 7R?
So the R series are always focused on resolution and detail. Typically, we would be thinking people here are looking to shoot very detailed photos, maybe architecture, maybe landscape, lots of other genres, of course, as well. But it's about getting that maximum detail and really pushing your gear to the limits for stills. The R series is also, of course, designed as really capable hybrids. They do great video, but resolution's absolutely always the focus. The S series, they're originally named for sensitivity, although now we're sort of broadening that because they do so much more. So they're all about video. You get the best frame rates, you get the best codecs, you get all the tools that you would really want to shoot high quality video in a mirrorless form factor.
Very good. All right, so just also take me through your peak resolution of this as well. I mean, what kind of scale can I film at with the 7S Mark III?
So 7S Mark III maxes at 4K resolution. So that's 4,000 pixels across, about 8 megapixels in a video. It's huge. So that's really, the largest resolution that's typically delivered anywhere these days. It also gives you the really high frame rates, and that's where we probably most push the technology in the 7S Mark III. Of course, 4K is pretty commonplace these days, but 4K at 120 frames per second is definitely pushing the envelope. And so that's really the extreme on this one.
You can make some really good home videos with this one, that's for sure. All right, it's the Sony Alpha 7S Mark III that's been released, it's been announced, all the details are there. Make sure you check out more details on this one. It is a very, very solid performer. Sean Ellwood from Sony, thank you for taking us through your camera range and in particular the brand new Mark III 7S.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.